All right, this video is to go over the structure and whatnot of the final paper for Linguistics 102. So just to start with an overview, the point of this assignment, the point of this paper, is first of all so that not all of your mark is down to quizzes and that kind of thing, but more importantly, pedagogically, to connect the content of this course to the world around you. Right, we spend a lot of time in the textbook, and I want us to move beyond that. It's also a way to explore connecting the modules to each other, and to bring your own interests into the course in a more substantial way. A lot of details, instructions, and whatnot are available in the final exam section on eClass, including a set of instructions for the assignment, which will cover basically what I'm talking about in this video. There's a sample paper that you can look at to see what it is that, it's another idea. It gives you another perspective on what I'm expecting in this assignment, where I basically did the assignment myself based on something. And yeah, the basic idea is that you pick something out in the world and you connect it to a couple of the modules from our course. So that something out in the world can be a novel, like in the sample assignment that I posted. It can be a website, it can be an organization, it can be a nonfiction book, it can be an academic paper, although those tend to be a bit narrow, so it can be hard to connect to multiple things. There's a lot of different possibilities. I'm trying not to limit them. I just want to make sure that it's something that you can talk about for, you can talk about enough to cover all the things that are required in this paper. So moving on to that, if you look at the document of instructions for this final paper, as I said, you pick a resource. Everyone has to pick a different resource. So as people identify the resources they're writing about, I'll post those on eClass so that you know which things are already taken. There are hundreds of things out there that you could use, so there's no danger of running out. That's just one way that I ensure that people are doing their own work. You're welcome to work together, but each paper is going to be about a different resource, so it's going to be individual in that way. Yeah, so for each of the two modules of the course that you're connecting your thing to, pick 2 or 3 concepts in that module that you want to focus on and discuss, and then go to it. The paper itself should have a fairly set, there's a fairly set structure. You have an introduction. There's some information in the instructions about what you might want to include in the introduction. 2 main sections in the body, one relating to the first module you're connecting to, the other relating to the second module you're connecting to, and you can just title them as those modules are connected, or otherwise as you like, as long as it's clear. Then a conclusion, right, wrapping it all up. And again, there's pointers in the instructions document to help you figure out what you want to put in those different sections. I do also expect a reference section. You will be drawing on various sources. At the very least, you'll be drawing on the textbook, which should be cited and referenced. Citation is what happens in the text, such and such idea, brackets, O'Grady and Archibald, 2021. And the reference is the thing that comes at the end that has the full bibliographic information for someone who wants to dig deeper and find that resource. So you'll be citing that, you'll be citing your resource, and any other things that you draw on, whether they're materials from the course from eClass, or other external websites, or resources that connect to what you're discussing. Lots of possibilities. And again, you can look at the sample paper for an illustration. I don't expect a lot of references. There's perhaps more than you're likely to use in that sample paper. But whenever you're drawing on an idea that is connected to or comes from another source, that's when you should be citing it. More citations doesn't mean that you're doing less work or you're just writing on other people's work. It means that you're acknowledging where the different ideas come from, that you are synthesizing yourself into this paper which is your own work. It is your own synthesis, your own presentation. Okay. In terms of styles, I know there's a lot of different academic styles that different fields, different individual subfields even use in terms of formatting a paper, formatting citations and references. I don't care which style you use, just make sure it's clear and consistent. So if you're citing using bracketed numbers and then numbering your references, then all of your references will work that way. All of your citations will work that way. If you're using a parenthetic author date format, then all of your citations will use that, and so on. The main important thing, again, is completeness and clarity. So your references, every reference should have enough information that I can find that reference relatively efficiently. URLs are good. If it's a website, a URL is almost all you need. You should have some identity of like who's making this resource, who authored it, whether it's an individual or an organization, a date, whether it's the date you accessed or the date that something was published or created, and yeah, just whatever else is needed. If it's a library book, usually a public, the date, the author, the date, the title, the publisher. And I do like, because we're all at the University of Alberta, if you got it out of the U of A library, there's a URL attached to each catalog entry that you can throw into the reference. That's not entirely necessary, but it could be helpful for me. What I'm trying to reinforce is the philosophy of like, why do we have references? Why do we have citations rather than the exact format? Okay. So that's the general overview. I think a different section for each of the two modules that you're looking at in the body, maybe a separate paragraph. You could make it subsections if you're feeling a little bit more verbose. You see, that's what I did in the sample paper for each of the concepts within the module that you talk about. Yeah, and there may be other questions. As always, just let me know in the discussion forum, by email, in class, whatever. This week, this is week 9, March 7th to 11th. This week I've set aside for getting everyone going on this paper. So think about the resource that you want to connect to. Think about which modules of the course it relates to and which concepts within each of those modules you'll talk about. And then let me know what the resources that you want to work with, and I will post. I've got a list already started of resources that people want to use, because as I said, each resource can only be written about by one student. I do not have a list of resources, sort of a preset suggested resources, but if you're stuck, absolutely talk to me. Hey, here's a topic that I'm interested in. I can point you to some resources. There are some for each module. I've pointed to something external in eClass, so that's meant to help give you some suggestions and perhaps inspirations about what you might want to think about. You can make it as personal as you want. I've had people who talk about, family members who have hearing impairments or, unique neuroatypical whatever, something that affects language and that guides their choice. I'm happy for things to be written in first person or third person. If you want some suggestions about how to practice formal academic style, I'm absolutely happy to point that out for you. Just keeping in mind that I'm not marking on that particularly for this. After this week, we're back into content. We have a couple more modules to cover and then some review. This paper is due the same day as we write the final exam on April 19th. That's a Tuesday during the finals period. And like I say, ask questions. You can post on the discussion forum when you think you have a topic that you want to use, or you can email me separately. Questions, all the usual. I think that's enough for this video.